Hi, it's Dr. Muhammad Osman, and today we'll be talking about perception. And perception is about what we see and what we perceive. So, basically, we will be talking about the initial motivation behind the perception and how we can perceive different images and what they can appear to us in certain circumstances. So, first of all, the motivation behind the perception is that you have to analyze different images and you have to actually analyze what can be perceived and what can be understood from that image. So I have a very little example over here that how many letter B's are on the next slide. So if you can find out over here, like if you can see that how many are over here, so you have to give some time. You have to perceive different words and every word will appear different to you. So working on it, how can you perceive how many B's are what on the next slide? What do you think? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 or 10? What do you think? So let's I will give you answer over here in the classroom. We'll be working on it, and in answer over here it is 5b on the next slide, and it is easy to analyze if you perceive and focus on one word. So perception is about focusing at one thing at one moment. So the motivation behind perception is that how much we can remember and how we can quickly process the information. So actually what you are trying to do when you are actually moving the previous slide, you are working to analyze a certain word or character. So basically you are trying to focus and you are trying to process the information that was all available in that slide. So basically furthermore, what you analyze when you have analyzed the character B in that image, what you have done that you have processed that information, and you have processed sometime in 5 seconds, some have done in 10 seconds, some have done in 20 seconds. So basically what you are doing, you are processing the information according to your own speed. So when we are talking about the perception, we are basically processing the information according to our own efficiency, and it can be also perceived according to what we can see and how much we can remember. So when we are talking about remembering a certain thing, and when we are looking about the perception, the concept is behind that is memory. So memory is all about that how you can store your data in your mind, and how can you remember and how many words you can remember. So basically you have two types of memory. One is long term memory and second is the short term memory. So the long term memory is like you can remember the things for a year or a lifetime, and these are quick to retrieve but difficult to store. For long term memory we have to rehearse this thing again and again, and then we can record that thing in our mind, and we can just store it, and we can just get it back when we want to retrieve it. But long term memory takes time to develop, and long term memory is not that easy. Similarly, like if I asked you that how many characters were on the previous slide on the previous image which we have worked on, you will say that I remember just there was E, L, V, T, B, M, D, E or some other characters. But if you see that image daily and for the whole day, for the all time, then you will be even able to remember all the characters and all the image, and you will be also able to remember how many characters were in that image. So basically long term memory is about working on for long time and storage of your data which you can retrieve on priority basis when you need in later life. So long term memory is the first type. Second type is the short term memory. It is between the few seconds or a minute. Basically it is based on the rehearse, or if you see something and you just remember for the time period, and after that it is just removed from your memory. So short term memory is about limited storage, and it can just store you 5 to 7 elements. Like if I ask you that in last 5 seconds how many things you have studied, or how many things you read, or how many words you are seeing in that slide. So basically it is about 5 to 7 elements. Some will be telling me 3, some will be telling me even 10. So that depends on your capacity of the storage which you can store between few seconds and a few minutes. So when the time increases, your short term memory time increases, and you can store greater amount of data. When your time is less, like it is few seconds to view a different image, then your perception will be different than about the moment. It is basically a conscious, it is just focused, and it requires attentive processing. So basically you have to be attentive for that time period in order to store that data in your mind. Something like if you want to remember something, you have to focus for a greater time. But in short term memory, if you want to remember something, you have to focus for a little time, and you just try to store those elements in your mind, and then you just try to retrieve back. It is hard to retrieve in short term memory because it will take time, and you don't have a clear concept or clear perception of that. So similar like when we are talking about different types of memory, the other type of memory is the sensory memory and the iconic memory. Sensory memory is basically based on the impressions of different signals from your body or from your sense, smell, hearing or taste or touch, and they can all work together. Like if you touch any hot thing, then you can feel that burning feeling just for instead of a second of, or if you are going for an electric shock and you touch any electrical thing and you just get a shock and pull your hand back. This is basically the sensory memory. It is just for a very small time period, like 250 to 500 milliseconds, and it just lasts for less time than the short term memory. So the other type of memory is the iconic memory, which is basically visual sensory memory, and it requires pre-attentive processing. It is basically on the focused attention, and it is based on how well you can store a visual image in your mind and for how long. Like if you have to see an image and you have to draw it back, then how well you can use that image to draw back exactly from your iconic memory. So iconic memory requires to be prepared for a image or for a perception. So these all four memory types are related to your perception, and these are the basics of the perception techniques. Then like how you can work on different perceptions and how you can store your memory types. So it was necessary to understand first that how you can work on the different memory types and how they work, and like how you can use them together for the perception analysis. So for every image we have to work on the perception analysis, and this video was up to here. So if you like my video, do visit my YouTube channel and like and subscribe to it, and you can get also training certificate to our video channel. The process is as follows, and what you are waiting for, go today, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.